This is the story of Miss Tessie Tate by Jean Horton Berg. There was an old lady named Miss Tessie Tate who'd been roller skating e'er since she was 8. "I don't care a fig if folks snicker and smile," she said, "skating's something that's really worthwhile." And though people said she was tempting the fates, Miss Tessie rolled smilingly on her skates. From sunrise to sunset, the whole world was busy, and so was Miss Tessie, both busy and dizzy. "I'll clean house today," said Lucinda Muldoon. "I'll skate on one skate," said Miss Tessie, "till noon." "I'll finish my washing," said Hester McKay. Said Tess, "I'll skate backward the rest of the day." She skated all day, and she skated all night. She said, "Let the sun or the moon give me light. I don't care an ounce, and I don't care a pound, as long as the wheels on my skates whirl around." "We'll pay no attention," the neighbors all said. "The poor little woman has wheels in her head." And so they continued to sweep, clean, and bake, and just shook their heads when they saw Miss Tate skate. Then one day the king made a grand proclamation that startled the women all over the nation. The king said, "Oh my poor wife and I are greatly disturbed. We are ready to cry. The castle, you know, is simply gigantic, and keeping it clean is driving us frantic. It takes 50 maids to scrub and to dust, and then there is hardly enough room for us. The princes and princesses have gone away because there's no room in the castle to play. And that's not the worst. We have nothing to eat. No vegetables, salads, no bread, and no meat. These dust-hunting cleaners have cleaned off the shelves and taken the last tiny crumbs for themselves. There surely is someone in this noble land who's clever enough to think of a plan, so I, with my wife and our children so sweet, can all live together and still keep things neat. I've 10 bags of gold and 1 elegant pearl to give to the sharp-witted woman or girl who comes to the castle and takes on the job of housekeeping for us, alone, with no mob." By noon the next day, the highways were teeming with armies of housewives, each happily dreaming that she was the sharp-witted woman or girl who'd win the king's gold and the elegant pearl. They came to the courtyard and swarmed through the gate, though one glided through on her slick roller skates. The butler threw open the castle's great door, and in burst the crowd with a bluster and roar. The clanging of pails and the thumping of brooms sounded like hundreds of double bassoons. The squeaking of sweepers, each one needing oil, the bubbling of water just come to a boil, the tickling of soap powder floating in air were more than the king and his poor queen could bear. They climbed up the steps and stood on the landing. The king bellowed, "Halt! There's a misunderstanding. I asked for your help. I begged peace and quiet. But what have we here? An ear-splitting riot. Instead of just 50 maids scrubbing and sweeping, there must be 500, all pounding and shrieking. I'm shocked and upset. I can't understand how anything ever got so out of hand." The women stood still as they could. They might have been carved out of flesh-colored wood. Not all of them stood still. I made a mistake. The one who was moving was Miss Tessie Tate. She swooped and she swirled and she did figure eights. She sailed down the hall on her ball-bearing skates. With duster in one hand and broom in the other, she sent all the other folks rushing for cover. Skating forward, she dusted the tables and books. Skating backward, she swept out the crannies and nooks. And while people stood open-mouthed and wide-eyed, she wiped down the walls in a one-legged glide. In 5 minutes flat from the time she'd begun, Miss Tessie declared, "The first floor's been done." The queen gave a happy but delicate cheer. The king roared a thundering, "Hear ye all hear! This talented lady may look very old, but she is the one who has earned all the gold." "And the pearls," said Miss Tess, bowing clear to the floor. "If you please, my valise is beside the front door." Now Miss Tessie Tate spends 2 days each week keeping the king's castle spotless and sleek. The rest of the time she spends much as before, skating at least 3 days out of 4. Her neighbors have changed, though. They don't make their beds, nor do any washing, nor bake any breads. They're all of them busy from early till late. They're all of them trying to learn how to skate. The end.